it's wild going on YouTube now and looking at old music performances from the 90s, and there's all these zoomers on there saying fucking hell, the 90s was so cool, and great movies, great bands. That was like the last great decade. But as someone who came of age in the 90s, hate to break it to you, there was tons of cheesy shit happening at the same time. The 90s seemed to, it was kind of like the period in which the greed is good 80s Wall Street, cocaine fueled hype train of capitalism. It coagulated in the suburbs and led to all the fucking team building rah rah events that businesses started to do. Do you remember all that shit? That was like, I just remember from the fashion, like all these I think there's the quintessential um video of all the dudes from Apple on stage clapping. Or no, it was Microsoft because Bill Gates is all these fucking dad bods up there giving having a good clap and a rah rah event. So it was shit like that. Tony Robbins was fucking bowling out. It was trust falls, all this shit. And it was basically like, as far as I can tell, yeah, like it was Wall Street trickling down to the suburbs. Like we can all make it. We can all be millionaires. A rapid departure from like the boomers, like doom and gloom of like growing up under the weight of World War II, blah blah blah. I wish I didn't say that last bit. Like makes me think of myself as some fucking historian or whatever. Anyway, it was good up until that point. Fuck. But anyway, I feel like that's, so that was the 90s, and then we shift into the 2000s. Social media starts to take off in the corporate world. That's obviously LinkedIn, and we start to get people referring to themselves as ninjas and rock stars because they're good at doing B2B sales, or perhaps some form of programming. And yeah, the people who did that, I feel like I'm going to broadly categorize them into two groups. If you've called yourself a ninja or a rock star on LinkedIn, you're either someone who has completely bought in to the game of capitalism, and you have some weird type of like heroic identity wrapped up in you're going through some fucking weird hero's journey bullshit within your career. Like, oh, I'm gonna, the enemy, the call to adventure is for me to take on an account executive role where I have to close 50 new deals a month. And even though I'm a little bit concerned and it's way outside my safety zone, I looked to the guide and said, yes, I'm ready. And then you went on and you started fucking crushing it. And then you became, you became a grandmaster. And you see yourself as some type of like, hero within your little slither of the capitalist system. And you're not afraid to anoint yourself a rock star or a ninja due to the hard work that you've put in and the accolades that you've earned. So there's that person. And then the second group is the person who's like, yeah, I am kind of the oddball in the office. And people, the people in the aforementioned, I'm the hero group, are calling me a rock star. They identify, for some reason, they see themselves in me. And even though I don't really give a fuck about this job, but I kind of care, need money. So I'm going to call myself a rock star because I seem to fit the archetype that they're putting on me. So I'm going to go with it, even though I really don't consider myself a fucking like I'm throwing nunchucks around, or I'm saving the princess from fucking Bowser and his scaly cock. So yeah, they're the two people that do it. And you can look from the outside and be like, this is where we're at. Humanity. We used to scavenge for our food. We used to fight off woolly mammoths. We used to create shelters in the extreme heat and in the middle of the fucking tundra. Now we have a social media network where we're anointing ourselves as rock and roll heroes and yeah, ninjas. So yeah, you can look at that and be like, this is completely futile. Like I recall things like this. Like I remember when I've been in corporate environments, one time I was working in an office and my boss asked me to call a client and let them know about give them a reminder about something that was happening the following week. I don't recall the details. So I did that and I was like, "Hey Claire, how you doing? Just calling to remind you about the thing next Wednesday. Oh, great, you've got it on your calendar. Fantastic. All right, we'll chat then. Have a great weekend, you know." So I just did this quick phone call, and little to my knowledge, the big boss was behind me. And she was like, she's this American lady. She's like, "You're good on the phone. You're a good talker." And she was trying to be nice. She was trying to boost my ego. But because I really didn't want to be there and I really didn't want to climb the ladder, I was like, oh, fuck. Like her words were actually like little daggers in my spine, being like, fuck, can't get good at this. This is just to fucking get some shit. This is to pay my rent. On one of the very early episodes of Mark Maron's WTF podcast, he had this guy on called Todd Hansen, who was one of the creators of The Onion, the satirical site. And Todd Hansen had gone through a long bout of depression, which had culminated in a suicide attempt. And he was talking about what it felt like to wade through the murky depths of being that depressed and what would lead you to want to harm yourself. And he was talking about how, like, even things that would be universally considered positive. The example he gave in the podcast was from his bedroom window when he was in this catatonic state in his bed, riddled with depression. He heard this bird chirping outside, or these birds chirping. And he was like, this should sound pleasant on the ears, this beautiful kind of like tune of nature. But instead, his depressed brain broke down what the chirping actually meant. It was like, well, yeah, this is either a call for food or a call for a mate, and the mate is they're there to procreate, and once that's done, their life's purpose is essentially over, and then they can just go and die. He found the darkest fucking possible interpretation of just these cute little birdies going. And I feel like when you're stuck within the corporate system, everything feels like that. When things, by and large, laptop jobs, boring office corporate jobs, nothing happens for the majority of the time. So it's mainly boredom that you associate with pain. And then there's a lot of there's like negative stuff that happens. People yell at you, or there's passive aggressive bullshit, or you're just overworked or stressed, or dealing with fuckhead clients, whatever it may be. That's like negative. But then there's also like, if you still feel horrible when you're getting praised and things are going well, then you're not cut out for that world. Whereas I think that the rock stars and ninjas, they're the people who can stare into the fucking abyss, the complete nothingness, the plastic fake reality of our fragmented, just, late stage capitalism, laptop jobs that don't fuck it, that are like this speculative, like, yeah, maybe we can take some free government money and try and improve the bottom line. This guy on YouTube calls it zombie corporations where the corporations are too big to fail, so the government prop them up, give them free money in times of crisis, like during COVID. And so they're like, fuck it, we'll hire a bunch of people and like, just fucking create any old like marketing executive, blah, 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 social media, jizz catcher. And they are just trying to like throw in fucking spaghetti against the wall, trying to make money. And then, yeah. And then when things contract, they just get rid of these cunts and then they have to go back to McDonald's or whatever. And it's all just this big fucking nonsensical game where there's not enough meaningful work to go around for the entire population. And yet there's people within the system who are not stupid people, so they must understand the complete void of meaning. And then they start consider themselves like, yeah, I played a gig the other night. I spoke to 50 hot new prospects. I got the good leads in Boise, Idaho, and it was quite a gig, man. They're really embracing the rock star attitude and mentality. So as we drift further away from our purpose, which was to roam around the land, starving, freezing cold, hoping that we find an injured deer so we can eat some fucking raw meat tonight. As we get away from that and towards our depressing digital existence in the future, we need these fucking rock stars and ninjas because they can find meaning in the meaningless. Whereas misanthropic fuckers like me, someone tries to say something nice about the fact that you talk well on the phone, and that sounds like birds chirping as a way to symbolize the fact that they'll be dead soon. Oh, yeah. All right. So thanks for listening, you fucking rock stars and ninjas. I appreciate the shit out of you, and can't wait to trust fall with you at a town near you or a conference or a seminar. Peace.